Yeah, good. Yeah, well, I'll welcome everybody for the Training of Trainers session 2. So yeah, it's really nice to have you here and just having your motivation and engagement all this way. So for the Training of Trainers session 2, we are going to get a little bit more practical. So last session we spoke a little bit more, like we did a bit more of a recap, like looking back at how things went for us, also just sharing a little bit of experience and also exchanging with each other. For the session 2, we're also going to still look back. So the agenda for today is still review a little bit the content and also the platform, but really a little bit more on a level on like sharing what things that we still have questions on or things that weren't clear from our experience, so that we can support each other now. Also thinking that this will be shared by you with students. This is really a moment also to just ask questions that you may have regarding the content and the platform and things that were not super clear for you in the process, and how we can make this process even easier for the students. And then we're going to look into contextualizing it to your center, to your institution, and then getting a little bit into action, like what are the next steps, what do we need to do in the selection, and setting up the plan for the training in your institution. All right, so as the content review, I wanted to a little bit recap again what are the resources that we have, but then we will dive deeper a little bit into each of these resources and just discuss together what are how did you experience and some questions that you might have. So if we start with the group sessions, as a recap with the group sessions, we had session 1, the introduction. So I invite you to look back from a long time when we, like 8 weeks ago, when we had the first session, and this was the introduction session. So in this introduction session, there was not so much theory content yet. It was more sharing like the overview of digital labs, what were the learning resources, the learning schedule, and the Mindy network. So let me see if I can actually duplicate this and just walk us through a little bit here, the introduction session. So this was the introduction session that we got to know each other a little bit more. We introduced the facilitators, and then we introduced what was digital labs, what were the different modules and the different resources that we were going to experience in this training. We went through each of them, and then we presented the platform, and we presented the course schedule. So the fact that we were starting with pilot phase 1 and then with the modules. And that was about it. So it was a little bit more of an onboarding day, like what is digital labs and what are we going to see in this course. I'm just, so I would like to go through each of them and just get a little bit from your side. How was your experience with this session? So you can either share it on the microphone or share it on the chat as you wish. But just share a little bit, like, how did you experience this session? If you try to recap and remind yourself, was it clear, or was there anything that was not so clear, or doubts that you had regarding this first session? Anyone would like to share?
Okay, there is Joshua who wrote in the chat that it was a long and nice journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and during the journey,
that
of course, like,
that was a little bit.
sorry?
I think that was a little bit earlier when we were. I don't know if it's related to this right now. It was a bit earlier.
I was writing to Galaxy X7 to rename the account, so that the chat was a little bit late. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, so for the session 1 on introduction, how did you experience it? Like, was there anything that was not clear or any doubts that you had or also expectations that you had at this point? Anything that it would be nice to have a bit of this feedback conversation so that we can also support each other on when to introduce this session to the students. Anyone would like to share something?
Yeah, there is Calvin who wrote everything was pretty much clear and straightforward.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Anyone else has some input on the introduction session that would like to share? Okay, so we move for session 2. So session 2 was the title of session 2 was setting your learning goals. So it was really all about creating an overview, like sharing an overview of what digital skills and digital tools were all about, setting a mindset for continuous learning and setting out personal and learning goals. So the learning objectives for this session was having students then being able to students are able to set out their learning goals and determine a topic for research. And the resource library course that was related to this session was the course on learning. So if we look back at session 2, yeah, we started here with what are the digital skills. We presented the different digital skills and digital tools. We discussed a little bit what tools that we use, and then we also discussed how do we learn and the growth mindset. And we introduced a resource library, and then we had just reflection exercise on how things that we've learned, and then we also had the kickstart quiz, which was the first moment to reflect on our own learning goals for this course. And yeah, that was the completion of session 2. So going through the learning course, joining the coaching session, writing out the kickstart quiz, and deciding on a topic that interests you. So really kind of setting out your learning goals and selecting a topic for your research. How about this session? Was there anything that was unclear at that moment in time? So I am really inviting you to try to remember your how was the experience at that moment. How was session 2 for you? Like, any questions? So also thinking about try to think about the fact that we will be training now the students. Is there anything that came across your mind at the moment that you were learning that was unclear that we should just keep in mind when training the students, or anything from your side that you don't feel that confident, or that things are not that clear yet for you to share this topic also for the students? So any kind of feedback or remark is welcome. Any feedback? Everyone's so silent. Maybe should I select someone to share? Anyone has any remarks regarding session 2?
We have a question.
Yeah, Kelvin. Yeah, go ahead, Eugenia.
From Kelvin. Just wanted to ask which medium of communication will be the best to train the students?
Yeah, so you mean in terms of the group session, so if we're doing it on Zoom or so the suggestion would be to still maintain it online so that they are also practicing using the Zoom and using already the online tools, so on their mobile phone. However, the group sessions can also be done because there is still the element of being part of Mighty Networks, being part of filling out their project work online. So if you feel that the group sessions could also be conducted face to face and explaining the Mighty Networks on their phone while face to face, and then the students still complete their work online, that's also possible. So there might be, so you might see, okay, what is easiest, or maybe you start the first group session face to face, where you introduce the digital labs, or like through a PowerPoint presentation at your institution or something like that. And then maybe then you can introduce Mighty Networks, make sure that everyone has downloaded it. So that might be a good suggestion to do the first session face to face. Make sure that everyone has downloaded the app, that they are inside Mighty Networks, that they have Zoom, or also think about, I think it's important to think about also here in the introduction, is how are they going to access the internet? So I think it's really important that the institution provides some kind of Wi-Fi for them to be able to enter Mighty Networks so that they don't rely only on their mobile data. Because I think managers are already informed about the need for the internet. And then for the later sessions, then you can maybe set up a Zoom link and try that out together with them. What are your thoughts on that, Kelvin? Do you think that would work for your institution? Maybe you can unmute yourself if you okay, yeah. What about for others? Do you think that that would also work? Also thinking like, what are the challenges that you see regarding the communication with students?
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, I didn't get the last question you asked.
Regarding the communication with the students, so I suggested maybe to do the first introduction face to face, and then setting up the Zoom for the other sessions. But do you think that that would work, or are there any other ideas regarding communication with the students? Also thinking about internet and accessibility to a smartphone, or any kind of challenges that you see in by being able to communicate and onboard students to the digital labs?
Okay, well, I think the online platform works, but from time to time in between, I think being that we are in the same geographical location, you can do meetups, maybe to be able to keep track on everybody's progress, those who are having issues, maybe going online or having issues with the platform like Mighty Works, Mighty Network, right? So you can be able to put them through, because some explanations might not be enough to clarify them. So you need to just put them through physically. So from time to time, maybe we can set it at, say, every Saturday there's a meetup. Maybe we'll meet up somewhere and we can discuss on your progress throughout the week and stuff like that.
So you would suggest that maybe the every group session would be face to face, and they conduct the rest of the activities online. So the research and being on Mighty Networks, but that the group. So because this is really up for you to decide. It's really up for you to decide if how you want to do this. So it's also very okay to have the group sessions all face to face, for example, and then they conduct all the other materials, all the other work online. But it was raised the last time that maybe it was a good important learning for them to also be able to get into Zoom and practice Zoom. So that's why maybe we do a mix. So what are your thoughts, Joshua, that you were mentioning? Like, would you prefer to do all group sessions face to face and then supporting them as you go, or would you still like to try and integrate Zoom?
Well, for me, I think we can merge both of them. Just like I said, it's always going to be on Zoom, but once in a while we can do some kind of meetup so that we can keep track. So it can be once in a month that we just come together. We can check on everybody's progress, but everything is going to mainly be based on the Zoom classes and on the Mighty Network.
So in that sense, so if I would go back, in that sense, because we still have the coaching sessions, right? That are weekly sessions. So these could be ones that then are face to face. So the group sessions are still on Zoom, and then the coaching sessions, which were the ones that were done with Emi, that then they are the ones that you then meet together face to face to help them out if they're not being able to be online or to understand Mighty Networks and things like that. Right? So that's a little bit how you mean.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a really good good idea. Yeah, Evelyn, you also have your hand up.
Yeah, good morning all.
Good morning.
Yeah, great. Sorry, I'm joining this meeting from a hospital. My wife is down. We're here for a surgery. So, but I think I can still be part of it now, but I might not be too consistent. They might need my attention once in a while in the ward, so I might be going out and be coming in. So you bear with me on that, please. With regards to the question, you see, like for the students in my own institution, National State University, though we've assembled most of them, we've interacted even before the trainer session commences. So in fact, they've been calling now asking when are we starting. So I think we're going to adapt both the virtual and face-to-face method for those that cannot be part of the face-to-face contact. They can join via Zoom, and I think at the center we'll have an interactive board that we can share for those that were around and those that are not around to be part of the session. So that's what we'll be doing. But I think where we actually need to educate them more is the Mighty Network, because even me in person, if not for Butterfly Works International, I've never had been in contact with the Mighty Networks platform before. So it's a learning process. for us all. So they will need to be educated on that. But by and large, I think we're going to adapt both the virtual and the face-to-face if need be. And for the coaching session, please, it's very, very important because I know how much the coaching session has actually added value to the entire session. Yes, there are so like me in person, because like I said earlier, most of everybody from my own team in Nasarawa State University, the session is coming at a time where we are in the middle of exams. So we've been trying to manage time and be part of the session as well. So the coaching session has really been instrumental, and I think it will still be very, very instrumental to students as well. So I want us to maintain the virtual, the coaching, the online coaching. We need to maintain it as well. So it's going to help us in the entire process. So that is my take on that. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. Also, thank you for joining anyway, even in a difficult moment as such. Yeah, no, indeed, I agree, and it's good to already be organizing in each of your institutions, and I think that's where, for each institution, it's important to make it fit and contextualized to your needs and to the needs of your students. So each institution will conduct it a little bit differently, and that's quite okay. So yeah, so just finalizing here on the group sessions. So yeah, so then we had session 2, which was setting your learning goals. We had session 3, which was defining your project. So that was the session where we explained the project work, like the templates and what they had to do, and also students discussed the topic for their research. So now they had to fill out the My Project document, and they also had the in the resource library the courses digital skills and digital tools to make use of that would support their learning here. And of course, for this one, yeah, then they had to work, start filling out the templates in their in their Google Drive. For this one, especially now using the Google Drive, how do you think that will be experienced for your students? So they will, for each of your students, it's important that they have then their own folder. So same as we used to have here with ones in Nigeria. So if I go here, let's say here, then we had all the folders. So this needs to be created for all students. For this round, we can still support you on if you need any support on setting this up, but it would be important that each institution has their own, and eventually even your own Google Drive. Like, do your institutions, are you using Google Drive already in usually in your work, or is this something new for you? So would it be something that you could set up for your institution and then eventually have the folders? Because it's best if the folders are not attached to Butterfly-Works, but are attached then to EDC Nasarawa, right? So that it's a folder attached to one of your emails or from the institutional email on Google, so that then you can start setting up the folders of these students. What are your thoughts on that? It could be that for this pilot, we can still do that, but we need to think about that in the long run when Butterfly-Works is not there anymore. What are your thoughts on using Google Drive and setting up these folders? Do you feel comfortable doing that? Do you feel that you need also a little bit more guidance?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I think Google Drive is a platform that I think most students are very, very familiar with. And we using it for this same session will be a plus as well. So setting it up is what should be talking about. And with regards to the Zoom session, we know if it exceeds more than a number of persons, you need to register. How do we go about that? Will Butterfly Workpay will help us in setting that up? So those are some few concerns I think should be looked into.
Because for this, of course, for this pilot, we will be using only, we having 18 students, right, per institution. So I don't think that exceeds the limit. But in the long run, I guess the number, like how many students do you usually have in your, like in your cohorts, like like for all the classes?
All
in
the
your,
classes in the university.
or yeah, because not do all students from the university also attend to the EDC or not?
Yeah, certainly. The EDC is like a center, a skill acquisition center for all students of the university.
Yeah,
But for the benefit of this course, I think we selected 18 students
yeah,
as
yeah,
instructed by Butterfly Works International. So we're working within that limit. But if it comes to the operations of the EDC, it covers the scope of this EDC covers the entire university, both undergraduate, postgraduate, part-time, full-time,
yeah,
and even
yeah,
MV programs.
yeah. No, of course, then the amount is way, yeah, it's quite a large number of students, but then we need to figure out how that would work indeed on a long run, right? So that's a good, I don't have the answer for it right now, but it's something for me to take note of. Yeah, but it's really good to point that you're raising, Yibeng. Thanks a lot for that. Anyone else have thoughts here regarding the Google Drive and the Zoom and the use of Zoom or any other tool that would be needed here, especially with them filling out their own project work?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, for me, our plan in my center is that we are going to have face-to-face interaction with the students alongside the online platform. So for now, we can't really say if we'll be needing any other platform to be used apart from the ones you have brought to us, like the Zoom and then the Google Drive. So until we start and see if maybe any situation arise during the process of training them, then that would determine whether we would come up with another plan. But for now, I think we are okay with all the whole package you have given us so far. And our plan is to work with them according to how you have been able to show us.
Yeah, yeah. No, sounds good. And I think the approach of mixing, yeah, having the face-to-face and the online, a good approach, especially with the coaching, like conducting the coaching face-to-face. I think that will support a lot with the students, especially the ones that are struggling a little bit more with the digital tools. Okay, so then for session 4, we had the topic on searching and selecting information. So it was really more about how to conduct research online, how to filter information, how to identify reliable sources. So the learning objectives of this session was more about like making sure that students are equipped with the skills and knowledge on how to conduct the research online. And then in the resource library, these were the 2 courses regarding this topic. So searching for information and credibility. yeah, so then here on session 3 was really that we had the 2 stories as example, so they could also understand how to conduct the research from the story of Muhammad and Amina. And then they had a project template to use, and explaining also how to use Google Drive a little bit. And yeah, just getting started with the research, especially in the part of research, like what are maybe challenges that you experienced in this moment? Was there anything that was not clear or that could have been better? Also just keeping in this, it's also just a good thing to share with each other, also on the planning and challenges, so that we can just learn from each other also on how to facilitate this session for the students. So was there anything that that was not clear? Okay, but how do I get started with my research, or where do I go, or anything that came across in your mind at that moment in time? Or any issues that you had regarding internet?
Okay. I think I would say something here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the major challenge we had was the time frame. Every other thing was fine for me and my cohort in our center. It was easy to get the information we need. The major thing we had to do was to define what we wanted, then define how we want to go about it. And we went ahead to do that. But the only major challenge was the fact that we had to carve out time from our physical engagements here in our center. So I think one of the things that will be helping the students to do, this is an introduction of a new scheme to the students. And normally, students are overwhelmed by the so many courses they're already doing in their disciplines. So it will take a whole lot of efforts from we, the teachers, to psychologically put some measures in place to make sure that we follow up the students and guide them to make sure that the operation would end up being successful, because they can be overwhelmed actually. So for me and my cohort, I feel the time frame might just be the little challenge we'll be having in guiding the students to really do their projects. So for me, it's just time management.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Also, that you shared on the fact that how this will be a course that is an additional. So for you, Joshua, will it be a course that will be an additional parallel training to the ones that they are already doing, right? That's what you mean. So then it's like an additional learning that students can, of course, these are 18 selected students, but in the future, will it be also a training that students can sign up for, or will it be a compulsory training, or something that, something optional? Thinking about, that they might be overwhelmed, and how to integrate that in their current, like, that can complement and support their learning in the other classes. Can you hear me well?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me well?
Yes, I said I didn't get the initial comments initially after.
No, because I think you put a good point across about the fact that the students might be overwhelmed with the learning that they already have in the other classes, and that it might be difficult for them to also have the time. So that's a good point for us to reflect now when we're thinking about our training plan. Like, is this something? So thinking beyond pilot, the phase 2 of this pilot, because I know that we're selecting 18 students. So of course, it's an additional thing for these 18, but in the future, do we see this course as something that is complementary to their study? Is this something that that students sign up for, and they learn an extra course after school, or so how do we see this course also integrating with the current courses that they're already doing?
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's we are doing a pilot test, checking the viability and the authenticity of what this course should give. And for me,
Yeah.
so far, the course is something that every student should have normally, and it is something that should be integrated into their present curriculum, because normally they are all faced with their basic discipline courses, but it is at the moment they are not having any course that is coming from the digital line, as this is for us now. And the content of this course is very important and very useful. So it is something that they can integrate into their course, and we just need to fashion out how we can fuse in this into their present course. So for me, I think it would be contextual for schools and institutions to decide how they can bring this course into their timetable. It's just for us to check how we have already occupied the students and carve out a time for each for this digital skill now in their curriculum. Yeah. So for my own school, we have our timetable. So from that, we'll be able to carve out time.
Yeah, though that's a good. I like the approach. So in this pilot test, you're also just testing it out with these 18 students, and so I think along the way, it's also good to get their feedback and ask how is it working, if they need more time, how does that integrate into their timeline, because this is not the final thing yet. We're doing a pilot, so it's really about understanding their needs, because these 18 then represent all the other I don't know how many hundreds of students that will take part of it in the future, right? Yeah.
So I think I should add something on this note. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, because our own strategy now of choosing our students that will take part in this next field test that we are going into is that we planned choosing less privileged students, that is those that are financially less privileged among our students. So we are going to be having varieties of students from different disciplines. So the way we are going to run the course with them is going to look like an extracurricular activity. Should I say extracurricular? Okay, they call it co-curricular now, activity. So it's not going to be the regular timing with the normal time that they're supposed to have with their basic discipline course. We are going to carve out a time later in the day for them to be coming for this training. And since we are not taking the whole week, we are just picking a day for the major coaching class and another day for the follow-up class. So it will be a time out of the normal regular working hours for the students. It won't be late actually. And the students too, there will be students that are staying on the campus for safety also. So that's our own strategy and plan in our own center. So I just said I should put that up to see if it's workable from your end.
No, I find that very interesting. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. It's also nice to have like a diverse group of students to also understand from students that are less privileged, like what are then the challenges that they might face, right? Not only with the digital skills, but also with access to resources and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's a really good strategy. So designing for different kinds of users, so extreme users that we also count, users that have, so that's really good. Thanks a lot, Joshua.
So, thank you very much. Maybe I should add one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
So sorry. Yeah, another thing we plan is to make the center open and available for them at intervals, like a stipulated time that they can come in, have access to the internet, and be able to go through different things online. And this would also give us room to monitor what they are doing with the knowledge we are giving to them. So the center will be open for them to come around and walk through, and then to seek our guidance also physically on what they are supposed to do. And I believe we'll be able to make provision for them also to have subscription on their phones at their own separate time, to also make researches on their own, to get more information on whatsoever they'll be doing as their projects work. So those are our plans at the moment, and I believe we can get more from your end. Thank you.
Yeah, really nice. Thanks a lot, Joshua. This is great. Ibrahim, and yeah, you had your hand up first.
Yes, great. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
I'm glad to inform Butterflyworks International that efforts are already on the top gear to integrate this course as a continuous course at the center. And from my discussion with my director, we are working on an advanced certificate program that we enjoy, like the system theory, the co-creation, the design thinking, courtesy of Butterflyworks International. And we don't want to let that go. We want to see how we can pull all those to be running like design thinking courses and even co-creation courses from the center. And we're looking beyond just the university. We want to see how we can also attract people from outside. We're working on that as well. So I'm glad that I already have an MOU with Butterflyworks International. So we'll be glad to continue in this partnership. And borrowing from Joshua's summation with regards to the criteria for selection, our own criteria for selection, we actually use the students' CGPA from different departments. We ensure that all students that will be participating for this program are students whose CGPA is 3.5 and above. That is a second class offer. That was the criteria we used. And the reason for that is the justification for that is or the fact that we believe that students at that cadre must be ICT inclined and will not have issue navigating the ICT platform. So I'm glad to inform Butterflyworks International that are really working hard to see how we'll make this a continuous course at the center. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ibrahim. Yeah, no, it's good. So just as I understand, for the criteria of the students, they are 35 years old. 35 years, you mean? I didn't understand that.
I didn't get that.
Were you talking about their age, or were you talking about
CGPA?
what does CGPA mean?
Cumulative gross, just their CGPAs in school, rating in school, how we used to operate.
Their grades.
Yeah, their grades. We use
Okay.
as offer as a CGPA of 3.5 and above as our own criteria.
I see what you mean. Okay, yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, and it's nice. This is an advanced program, like something extra, right? That they, at least for now, right? With this 18 students, and then something that's to be explored further in the future, right? With more students, right? So this is the first step.
Yeah, this is the first step.
Yeah. Great. Dr. Harrison, you also have your hand up.
Yes, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the issue we left with our facilitators in our last group session regarding our peculiarity in terms of the upcoming exams in 2 weeks. I don't know whether any decision has been taken on that we may not start alongside with others.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Also, many other institutions are not starting now. So I think also Joshua's was also starting in 4 weeks. I think there was also, if I'm not mistaken, other institutions, I don't remember which ones also have, each of us has different timelines, and that's okay. It
Okay.
also gives us more time to prepare. So maybe I'll just continue because I also wanted to reach the part on the schedule. But so, well, we prepared also some like a trainer guide and materials. Let me first go through where I was, and I'll reach that point. But there's each of us can start in different timelines, and there's a bit more time to prepare, and we can also meet next week still to answer any other questions and to review all our plans that we should prepare for the upcoming week. So there's still time. So I think we also just reassessed our planning, reviewed our planning, and just decided, yeah, there's just needs a bit more time for preparations. So no worries about that. You can start whenever it's best suits your institution.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Then the other issue is the arrangement in my TVET. We have regular classes for our students, but it's only for year 2 and year 3. But we intend to involve all the students in this project. In that case, the university has agreed to arrange for a specific time to accommodate the course. So we will draw up our own timetable. I hope we will be permitted to operate it that way, not in common with other universities or EDCs or TVET.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. And it doesn't have to be everyone starting at the same time. And also the structure, so it doesn't need to follow the 7 weeks. It can also follow, if you want to take more time for it and spread it out into more weeks, that's also okay, so it doesn't need to also follow the structure that we conducted that we facilitated for you in our training. So you really have the freedom to make use of the materials that we have and that we're providing. We will provide it in a package and make use of that in the way that it best suits your TVET.
Thank you.
Your institution, yeah, or your EDC.
And like I mentioned some time ago, we have set up a digital lab in our TVET center in the university. Like I think Agozo mentioned, ours will not be face-to-face training. We want them to make use of the digital training they will have and apply them directly. The university has supplied all of them with a laptop specifically for this training. And so they will be in the digital lab in the TVET center to be doing their own self-study. And then even when we will be coaching them or having group session, we intend to still do it online, like what Butterfly Works did with us, so that they too can learn how to use Zoom and other digital tools for that purpose. That's how we are planning.
Yeah, that's really great. So nice that that the university can provide these resources for the learning. That's really great to hear, Dr. Harrison. Yeah, this is great. Really nice to see, yeah, the engagement of the universities and the UDCs in from everything that has been shared from all of you. So that's really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There's always space and time for others to share also, because I know we have many others in the room. But I'll just finalize this part here on the sessions. Just finalizing the overview. That then we had the privacy and sharing session on, so session 5 was about privacy and sharing. We had an explanation and discussion about safety and privacy when using the internet. And the learning objectives is that students are aware of online safety and privacy tips. And we have had 2 courses in the resource library, which was searching information online and privacy online related to the session. And then we had the session of finalization of the project work. So just a session for everyone to share their progress on their project work and prepare for the celebration day. And by the learning objectives of the session was that students are confident to finalize and present their project work. So we also introduced in this session the presentation template and explain what they needed to present in the final day. And then of course we had the celebration day where everyone presented their work. There was just a moment to celebrate all the accomplishments and the certification. And it's not really an objective, but the objective of the session was students have finalized the module 1. Any other points or remarks regarding these steps in the learning? Was there anything, yeah, that you would like to keep in mind, or so anything regarding the tools or the content? Was there anything that was also not super clear, and that you think maybe students would need a little bit more support? No remarks on these ones? Maybe also just to discuss in terms of content. So here we're reviewing a little bit the content of all the sessions. Which content did you find the most challenging? So you can also put it on the chat or share it with the microphone. Like, was there any specific part of these content of the session content that you thought was challenging or that it was not clear? Because we also have in mind of maybe providing some extra resources such as a glossary or things like that. So some parts of like the terms used or anything that you think that was not, that was quite difficult to understand, or maybe that there could be some more support in any of these parts. No remarks on the content? Maybe someone we haven't heard from yet? Or also, which content did you find the most interesting? You can also drop that on the chat. What did you think, Viviana, from your side? And just to get the conversation going, was there any content that you thought from your side that was most interesting or most challenging?
I think for also from the feedback we got for the participants, and I really share also this vision, is everything that is related to privacy is always a little bit challenging and also interesting at the same time. So knowing more about what are the rules, who really have access to our data, with whom we are sharing our data, and sometimes we also know all the rules, and then it's not always easy to follow that. But anyway, I think being aware is important, and is also interesting. I think we will all learn from each other during the session, that specific session. So I found this one the most interesting, and on the side also the most challenging topic for me, because it's sometimes it's difficult to to be careful on all the aspects and to save carefully all the passwords and etc. So yeah, I think this is the topic for me, summarize both of your questions.
Yeah, nice. Same for me, actually. I also think the privacy and security is the one that I also find most challenging. Also because I just don't know it all. What about for others? Would someone like to share also something that you found challenging and interesting? What about you, Ini? Maybe I go with just the facilitators first. Did you have any of the content that was shared that you thought was the most challenging content? Are you there, Ini? Okay. Well, from what I also wanted to point out is same for me. For example, the content that I thought was most challenging was the privacy and security, also especially because, well, I was facilitating the session, but I am not an expert on that topic, and I, in many occasions, also didn't have the answers to some of the questions that were raised. And so that's why I also wanted to point out that that might happen also when students, and of course, you all as teachers have a lot of experience with that. But what are then ways to manage that situation in case you are confronted with something that you don't know the answer, or that's so how I usually then facilitate is that I say, well, yeah, I don't know the answer exactly for how the cookies work or things like that. However, I know the resources, or I have the tools that I can help my students on where to find more information. So if ever there's moments where, oh, I don't really know the I'm not an expert on that specific content, but I am facilitating the learning process of that student. So that's also a little bit key for the digital labs. It's not about us knowing the answers and giving the answers to the students. It's also about facilitating their own learning process. So it's giving them the resources and tools to research themselves. So it's also okay that as facilitators, we don't know everything. It's more about giving them and providing them guidance on how to find that information for themselves. So either through the resource library, but also through Google, or supporting them to research it for themselves, and just guiding them in that process.
Thais, just for adding on
Yeah.
build on top of what you were saying, I found really interesting, for example, that during the final presentation, we were able to listen and to learn about topics like developing programs or marketing. And I remember TikTok, for example, that I'm not an expert. So this is the surprising part of being a facilitator and not really a teacher. So that's your students or the participants to your training course can come up with something that you don't know about it, but thanks to the tools and the suggestion and your guidance during the process, they were able to find and to learn about a topic that it's not something that you know. So it's at the end you will discover also a variety of projects. That is also really the richness of this digital lab, I think. So this was
Indeed.
a good point.
Yeah, indeed. I think for all the presentations that were presented by you at the end of the and on the celebration day, there was so much new information for me, so many things that I was learning. So it's really something, also something to emphasize, that digital labs is really about learning from each other. So not only students learning from other students, but also, facilitators were learning from students, and everyone just bringing new information and knowledge to each other. So yeah, thanks a lot, Viviana, on that. Yeah, great. So moving into the coaching session. So as you've all been there, you had coaching sessions every week with Ini. So it was a moment to ask and clarify questions, support students in their research and project work by giving them tips and guidance on how to continue. Again, emphasizing here that the trainers do not give the answers, but they support learners to find out for themselves. And it's an opportunity to connect as a team and learn from each other. So as Joshua also mentioned, maybe this is a nice opportunity to bring people face to face to answer questions. Of course, it's always fine to set this up also online if the online environment is working well and everyone's engaged, and the digital skills are there and people are understanding Zoom very well. It's also really up to you if you want to mix a little bit the face-to-face and the online, or do it all online. Both are fine. But yeah, maybe let's try and bring the energy up, because there's a couple of questions that I'd like to hear from you. Like, what was the experience at the coaching session, and how do you foresee conducting these coaching sessions yourself? So thinking about all the coaching sessions you've done with Ini, yeah, just think about how did it go? How would be ways that I would conduct this with my students? Anything that that was nice that you of that experience that you would like to also do it the same with the students, or anything that you think could be improved. Would be really nice to get your feedback there. And it's also nice to share, just because we're learning from each other here in the session. So something that maybe Ibrahim noticed can be something relevant for Latifa when so it's also a nice moment to just share and bring in ideas on how to conduct the coaching sessions. Maybe Latifa, you would like to share a little bit? How was the coaching sessions for you?
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Harrison. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hi, Thais.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yes, I
Sorry,
can hear
I
you
didn't know
too.
I was on mute. I was talking.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah,
Good afternoon.
the coaching session is okay, it's good. I like the fact that you have to do this with someone from our country. Sorry, because sometimes me personally, I have to, be very attentive to understand when you are speaking. But the fact that we have someone that anchors that session and the person is from our country and that speaks clearly is a good one, and also help us to break down our tasks, what we need to do,
Mm-hmm.
and help us to
Yeah, so it
understand
was a
it
lot
very
more
well. For
guidance,
me, the
right?
coaching session, yes, the experience was great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And was it more of a format that that you as students were bringing more questions to INI, right? Rather than INI. So how did that go? Was it more that you came prepared with some questions, and then INI would support in that guidance?
Was it more what?
That you would bring questions for INI rather than INI coming already with answers, right? It was a little bit more that you would bring in your own questions, right?
Yes, of course, especially when whatever I missed during the Monday meeting like this, when we meet on Mondays, if there's anything that needs further clarification, I already put my question together and asked during the coaching session.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a nice, really nice approach, especially for when conducting it with students, to ask students to come to the coaching session with questions, because that's also like quite a famous. I think you probably all know about this, but a famous approach to learning, which is students coming with questions. So then we start the class or this coaching session actually starting from what they brought, so from questions they have or topics that are on their mind, rather than bringing in something from us, like from our side as teachers or trainers. So that is also a very nice way to approach it. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Atifa.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Harrison, you would like to share something? You have your hand up. Maybe you're muted. No, we cannot hear you. I don't know if you're talking. While we wait, maybe Ini, would you also like to share some tips on how to conduct the coaching session with the students from your side? You're muted, but maybe you'd like to unmute and share a little bit some tips and guidelines on conducting the coaching session.
My hand is
Ini,
up.
yeah, no, go ahead. Go, yeah. Who's speaking now?
Yes, thank you very much.
Dr. Harrison. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Harrison.
Yes.
Yeah.
the issue I want to bring up is it was easier for us during the coaching session because the resource library was there for us. Then the materials that's resources that Butterfly, the digital labs, were there on the platform. And in the absence of all that, how will we be able to conduct our own coaching sessions? Because unless the support will still continue, maybe we request, and then digital labs will send it to us so that we can use them in the resource library for the students. That's where I am confused. How shall we handle that?
Yeah, so all the materials, I'll share that a bit in the end. Again, because some questions are coming up earlier, but we have organized all the materials of all sessions. So we will share this package with you where there's all the slides and all the recordings from all sessions. And of course, the resource library is still in the Mighty Networks. So the moment that the students are part of Mighty Networks, they will have access to this. So that's there all the time online. So what we need to do,
the students will not have access to them.
They will.
They will?
Yeah, because they will also join the Mighty Networks.
Join the Mighty Networks, okay.
Yeah. So the moment that we have all the students' names, so for this pilot, we will support you on adding them in Digital Labs, but eventually by the end of this whole process, we need to make sure that all teachers and managers of all institutions also know how to add new students in the future. But for this moment, we will support you on how to do that. So we will have to add new members. So if we click here and we click invite, then we can add the students' emails here. So they will all be part of Digital Labs, and we will create new groups for them. Yeah. So it will be a similar process. They will also be part of I think maybe not sure if the same group, maybe different groups, because this group, we just need to decide if it's a new group or maybe subgroups. Yeah. So they will all have access then to the resource library.
Okay, I'm satisfied.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks, Dr. Harrison. Ini, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
We were just talking about the coaching session. So we was just wondering if there's any tips or any tips that you can provide the group on how to conduct the coaching session from your
sorry,
side.
the network logged me out. I think
no problem. Yeah. No, your network is not really good, Ini. I cannot hear you well. No, I cannot hear you.
Maybe we move on because his network is bad.
So Jen, just again looking through the project work. So this was a project work to be completed and independently by the students. So the students take the ownership of their research and project work, and the topic of the project is to be decided by the students, and that can be any topic of interest, or can also be linked to the vocational skill that they're currently learning. So there are also in the templates also some examples to support the explanation. yeah, any tips that, well, that I can share? Like, do you, also a little bit of a question for you. Do you think having the examples helped? Was there anything that was not clear on the project work? So when you're like, it's really important that you think now about how you will be guiding this. Is there anything that you would like maybe to ask me on, like a support on how to conduct it, or anything that that is unclear when you will be conducting this with students? Maybe you can drop this on the chat and I will move on. So if you have any questions regarding how to complete the project work, or any feedback on your experience there, you can drop it on the chat. So then, of course, there was the online community and the resource library. So that was a space to connect with other teachers. So of course, here again, to add new students and connect with them. So we will be supporting you to add new students this time, and we will also onboard you in adding new students for the future. So this space is really also a space to share like main information. So you can, as teachers, it's really important that you also use this space to share updates. You can always share the recording of the session or the slide presentation or any other important information of the training you can share here or in the groups. So we will have groups of the students, so you can share it directly to the group where you are at for that student, with the group of that student, with the subgroup. And yeah, of course, sharing inspirational materials. Everyone will have access to the resource library, and of course, in the future, so not for right now, but the digital labs, the Mighty Networks, will really be a space where you can, that it will be forever yours. So it's always a place where you can eventually create more content and theory for the resource library, but also add more resources and more inspiration in the topics. So it's really a space that you can use. It's really yours. So yeah, just to recap a little bit on the resource library, like what are things in terms of onboarding. So we already went into the part of adding new students and creating the groups. Is there anything else that you feel that you just want to clarify for this next phase for the training of the students? Anything that's not clear about the Mighty Networks? You can also drop that on the chat if you wish. No questions regarding Mighty Networks? Maybe Ini, since you're back, would you like to, so while others are thinking about Mighty Networks, would you like to share some tips on the coaching session? I think your network hopefully is better now.
Okay, is it better now?
Oh, yeah, it's better.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Okay, so yeah, one of the tips I would say matter a lot is having a day already pre-scheduled. Like most times we have our coaching session usually on either Wednesday or Thursday. So agreeing or having a date that is already pre-scheduled or agreed with the participants is something that would really be helpful, so that everyone will be looking forward to the day and also the time. Mine was a bit hectic because I had to reach out to all the 6 or 7 TVET centers, and having them at different time. Yeah, so it's also good to after having finalizing on the date. Another important thing is the time for every, and that's to be well communicated ahead of time so that everyone would know when to come in and also share the link. So most times what I do is I share it on the contact that I have on WhatsApp and also on the Mighty network on the different groups. I go post it there because we know there are lots of engagement on the Mighty network. So when anyone go into their group, they see and they're aware that the coaching session is about to take place, the time and the link. Yes. So another tip again is every week when we have our Monday session, there's always activities for the week. So the activity for the week has to be summarized. Because that is the aspect that would be focused on during the coaching session. Like the first week, it was more about people completing their profiles, making sure they join their respective groups. Then the second week, it was about joining the resource library and picking the topic, filling the Kickstart quiz, and preparing for project, finalizing the project, and getting prepared for the the graduation, the final project presentation. So it's very important that every week there's an activity for people that to do on the platform, and such activity will be given a lot attention, will be placed on the spotlight when the coaching session starts. And it's also very important that you don't assume people know everything. So it's also important that you ask a question from everybody online for the coaching session to be sure they understand. And also part of what I did in the first 2 weeks was I actually shared my screen, and I also kind of helped everyone navigate on the Mighty network, right? Putting them through how to get to the resource library, how to join the group, how to subscribe to the different topics, also how to book an appointment on the event session. Yeah, so basically it's more about carrying everyone along and making sure that the activities for the week are actually achieved before the session, and also to remind the participants of the next the weekly schedule. And it's also important that you have the link for your meeting for the group meeting very handy, because I know a lot of people, when I remind them, okay, it's time for the session, they ask, okay, where's the link? So you also need to have it very, very handy. So when anyone asks, you can easily share with them. Yes, so those are the quick tips I can share on how the coaching session can be done effectively.
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Jenny. That's really very comprehensive, very detailed. Yeah, I think that you bring in a really good point.
Excuse me. Question for Ini.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does it mean that we will also have to have a particular Zoom link for our students? A regular Zoom link?
Yes, it's important, but for example, the coaching session doesn't last maybe more than 30 minutes of highest max 40 minutes. So I use the free Zoom subscription. That you don't need the paid one, because the free version you can use it for, I think it lasts up to 40 minutes. And most times the coaching session lasts for maybe 35 minutes. So yes, you also need a Zoom link for that.
There's a particular link for all the coaching sessions.
No. It doesn't have to be the same. It can be different. But as you are booking it, you also have to share with the participants that.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be just one link. It could be as you book it, you share.
Yeah, and of course you can always do the coaching session also in person if that also makes sense. So you can choose that. And I think with Zoom, right? Also, when you plan it, you can also plan it as a recurring meeting so that it's always the same link, right?
Yeah, that can work too.
Yeah. So when you click to create the Zoom, so we can also, if you need support on how to do that, we can also provide some guidance on how to set up the Zoom room, because you can click there recurring, and then it just let you say, I want this Zoom room to have like every Thursday at 1. And so it's the same link, and then the next Thursday it's still the same link, so that you don't need to share a new link. It's always the same one. So that is also something that you can do. Okay, so then just moving on a little bit more on the next steps of, I think a lot of the institutions and all of you have already been thinking about the students and who will be selected. So what is the selection criteria? So even how also was mentioned by Ibrahim that you're selecting students from different classes of vocational skills, so from different departments. So that's also really nice to have that diversity. And think about also how the teachers, trainers can support each other, and potentially even training students together. So just as a recap, that is 18 students per institution. And this was the structure that we used. So that's what I was just wanting to emphasize again, that this was the structure that we used, which was a group session that can be done face-to-face or online via Zoom. It was about 2 hours. But you can always organize this yourself. So you can say, okay, it's going to be a face-to-face session, but instead of 2 hours, I prefer to do it, I don't know, 1 hour this week and 1 hour the other week, and split it up, because I find that it's too much information for my students. Or I would like to not do it, like do it a little bit longer. So it's also a little bit for you to determine how to go about with the group sessions. The self-study time is for your students. So this is like roughly, we say that it's roughly 3 hours, maybe a little bit more, which is the time that they have to do individual learning. So that includes completing all their weekly to-dos. So in the slideshows, you see that in the end of every session, you have the weekly activities. So these are the deliverables of them of the week. So that's what is part of the self-study time. And then there's a coaching session, of course, where you will be available for this 30 minutes coaching with the students. So that can also, of course, also be done face-to-face or online via Zoom. And this was the structure that we had. So in the end, we had 7 weeks following this format of these three parts to it. But of course, you can organize this as you wish. So there's like we were saying, different suggestions for different training plans, and we're really welcoming that, because it should really work for your institution. There's the Kickstart quiz and the Reflect Back quiz, which were 2 quizzes that were done online, which we can prepare for you a new quiz that you can share with your students, just the link for it that they fill out on their mobile phone. So we will be sharing that together with together with this the structure. So we created a training package structure, which we will be sharing with you tomorrow. So here is in the training package, it's all for all the sessions, the recordings and the slideshows of all the sessions, and from session 1 to session 7. And then in the training of trainers folder, we also have a folder with templates, so the templates that were used by the students, so the project template and the project work presentation template. And for the trainers, so this is something that we want to we will be sharing with you tomorrow. It's we're almost finalizing it, but a template for you to create this training plan. So same as what Joshua and Ibrahim shared with us today, a lot about already how they plan to conduct this training. I think it's nice for you to also just share it in a template, just write out. So same as what was shared today in the discussion, just put it down on paper so that we can discuss it next week. So I would like to invite you all, if you want, of course, it's not, it's completely optional to join or not, but that we still have another session next week, same time. We can maybe make it a little shorter, like maybe an hour, just to where you can bring in your training plans and that we can discuss together the plans, and if you have any questions or still some practical parts regarding the tools and which aspects will you still need support with, if it's setting up a Zoom room or is it adding the students in Mighty networks. So we can take the time next week to just really go into the training plan of each institution and see what is needed and any questions that you still have. So I will be sharing this training package with you tomorrow, so that we can also, if you have any questions regarding it, so that you can also have the time to go through it, and next week we can discuss it together. So in the training package in here, you have the templates, you have the ToT session. So here we're putting the recordings. I will also add the recording of today. And you had some of the tutorials. We haven't put all of them yet, but we had the tutorial on how to fill out my project template. But we also had a tutorial on Mighty Networks, and we also had a tutorial on using the Google Drive, the presentation, the Google Slides, to create your own presentation. So we will be adding the tutorials here. And then we also have a trainer guide, which is a trainer guide, which also gives you some trainer tips on how to conduct. So it's a little bit also what we've been through today with each of the sessions, but also providing you some tips to keep in mind also for the coaching session. And so it's a little bit what we've been going through today, but on paper, so that also can help you in guiding the students. So this will be shared with you tomorrow, so that you can have a read through and we can discuss it next week. So yeah, so the three main things, apart from all the content that is also available for you in this package, is this training plan template and the weekly reflection template. So during this time, the weekly reflection template is about, because during this time that you're training with your students, it's also, there's also a moment that you can connect with INI during the week. So it's similar as the coaching sessions that we've been doing during the phase one, but now we're calling it weekly reflection meetings, because it's more of a moment for you to share with INI, like how is the week going with your students. Of course, knowing that each institution will start in different moments, so you don't need to be all together in this. This is done per institution, so it's per teams. But it's a moment that then you schedule a time with INI again, and then just share a little bit how things are going. Like, oh, it's been going well this week. We just kicked off session 2, and the students have already started with setting out their learning goals, but these are the challenges that I face. I don't know, it's a moment for sharing how things are going, asking some questions, and getting some guidance from INI. So this is, of course, an extra thing that we just provide you some guidance and some mentorship throughout phase 2 while you're training your students. So the next steps for phase 2 is to create this training plan. I think most of you are already done or halfway through it. So it's really just filling out the template that we will provide you, or if you have it already written out and you would like to just share something that you already have written out, that's also fine. But I think it might be easier for you to just make use of the template that we will share with you tomorrow. Train your students, attend the weekly reflection sessions with Ini. And of course, training your students also includes the coaching session with students. So these are different sessions. I hope this is clear. Like one, in the training of the students, you're conducting the group sessions and the coaching sessions. And then if you want, you can still attend the weekly reflection sessions with Ini for asking or clarifying any questions you have. And then you fill out this weekly reflection form. So it's just a form that we will provide you, also a template that you can make use on, just reflecting on how that week went, which is connected and in line with what has been shared in the weekly reflection session. Do you have any questions regarding these next steps and the trainer package that I haven't shared with you yet? But are there any questions regarding like what it's, if you don't understand what it's all about, or anything that's unclear in the process? Any questions? No? No? All good? Yeah, so for the next week, I think we can just to be completed by, so if you want to join, of course, if you feel already that you're confident and that you that you don't want to join next week, but I think it would be really good to just organize and create that training plan and then come back next week and then we can discuss that together. So it will be, so I'm skipping a little bit this part here, where we would be doing it today in breakout rooms. So sharing some ideas you have on the timeline and training plan. I know that Joshua and Ibrahim have done that today already a little bit, but I'd like to suggest us to do that next week. Once we had some time to go through the trainer guide and to prepare our training plan and finalize the selection of our students and everything, so that next week we can do that together. We can go into the maybe breakout rooms or just do it in plenary, depending on how many people join, so that we can really go through each training plan, or even everyone shares how they're going to do, and we can also give some feedback to each other, or even give some ideas on how we can go about it. And also really nice, I think, for us to also see the differences from each institution on how we are approaching it. I think that's also very interesting. And also determine how, like, when are we starting, when each institution is starting. So it's a moment a little bit for us to really review the plans and have also just share that and have everyone participate and support each other. And this week we already start with it's not really a reflection, but we still have a coaching session this week, right, Ini, or a moment that you will get in touch with everyone to see if they want to meet you this week, right? So we still continue with that this week also. Just double checking with you.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, good. And so I will be sharing with you tomorrow the trainer guide and the training package. So yeah, for next week also just have a read through, and then next week we can, when we meet, if you have any questions or any concerns or anything that's unclear regarding the package, we can also discuss that together. So for next week, there will not be so much of a presentation prepared. It will be a little bit more, let's say, another coaching session, like a moment more for us to discuss, for you to bring in your training plans, for us to look at the package again together, or on Mighty Networks, or any other questions that you might still have before we conclude the TOT. Is that clear for everyone? Is that good?
Yeah, it's clear. Very, very clear.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Clear.
Good. Thanks a lot, Ibrahim, Joshua, everyone else also present here. Yeah, if there's no other questions, then I think we're good. So I think you will be here. You will be hearing from us tomorrow with a link to the trainer package and the trainer guide and all the materials that I mentioned today. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. It's really nice to see you all here, and the motivation, and yeah, I'm looking forward for phase 2. Yeah, I'm really happy so far with how things are going. I hope it's a shared feeling. All right. Well, have a good end of the day for you, and we speak soon then. I speak to you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you too.
Everybody. See
Yes,
you
so
next Monday,
see
and
you.
for you, will see you on Thursday.
Yeah, great. Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.